This talk is about current events in a spiritual light. And this talk is about hope, and it's about optimism. At the beginning of the Great Depression, Eleanor Roosevelt was talking with people. They pointed out to her how things looked so very bad. They said, "We don't see any way that the country or the world can survive this crisis." Mrs. Roosevelt was asked, "Do you see the country ever coming out of this depression?" And she replied, "The future belongs to those who believe in the depth of their dreams." A downturn in the economy requires an upturn in spirituality. Every cloud does have a silver lining, and this cloud does too. Great good is going to come out of this. You'll see. Great good is going to come out of this time, both collectively and individually. And I know that that's true because I know God. Now, I'm not saying that I have not been affected by this. I have. I've been struck by this in a hard way. You cannot not be when you receive the prayer requests that we have been receiving lately. Wonderful people that are having job loss, or they will. Wonderful people that are losing their homes, or it is coming to them. Yesterday, a lady wrote me that was in the unemployment line in Chicago for the first time. She said how shocked she was when she got there, and it wrapped around the building, and then it went down the street, and she just was in the line praying. And then she got inside the building, and there were signs requiring 2 forms of ID, and she only had one in her pocket. She thought for a moment it was hopeless until a supervisor pulled her to the side and found the additional identification and proof of who she was on the internet. I tell you, that is the way God will help each one of us during this time. Our nation is going through a long tunnel of change and major adjustment. Our tunnel, I would estimate that we're about 40% through the dark tunnel. And that is a good thing. We are less than 10% from being on the way out. We're less than 10% from being at the beginning of the end of our long dark tunnel. Our journey through the tunnel, it will be as fast as our faith. Now, how do you get through a dark tunnel? You look for the light at the end, and you walk towards that. The great spiritual writer Neville once said, "Look to the end." He was talking about faith. Instead of looking to the problem, the difficulties of the moment, look to the end of where you want to go and walk towards that. Edwin Brooks said, "A nation without the means of reform is without the means of survival." Well, this is true for our nation. It is also true for us individually. We can make it individually in a big way when we're walking through that tunnel with God. Now, Jesus said, "Don't look to appearances." What did he mean by this? You look with faith instead of fear. You dare to believe. Now, what can we do on a daily basis? Well, the first thing we need to do is stop listening to the negative talking heads on the media. When I was getting ready for church this morning, I was listening to TV and then later on the radio, and these people were spewing negativity, and I think that is the test. Is the woman or man that you're listening to spewing negativity, hopelessness, despair, to grandstand? Not for the good of the country, but to draw attention to themselves. Now, this must be beyond political party. United we stand, divided we fall. If we are walking through a dark tunnel, we don't want people laying down in front of us to trip us up or slow the movement towards a new day. No, we want to keep moving. Do it collectively. FDR once said, "We have nothing to fear but fear itself." Well, that famous line reportedly was written by the spiritual writer Napoleon Hill, the writer of Think and Grow Rich. Fear spiritually draws to itself what it fears. Fear attracts, but it attracts the negative. It is magnetic in that way. We must inoculate ourselves against this by building our spiritual immune system. Well, as a society, we buy into fear when we should buy into faith. The investments of either end of the spectrum will return loss if we're thinking about fear, or if we're thinking in faith, it will return great expanded increase. Terrorism. Since late 2001, our main fears have been terrorism, after the horrific events that took place then. Terrorists, though, are only successful when they create terror and when they control us continually by controlling our thought in that way, by terrorizing us inside of us. Now, my friend, there will always be 1% that try to do bad things to the 99% of good people. Focus instead on the 99% of the good in humanity. And you are in that 99%. What a wonderful group to walk through a crisis with. Some of the worst terrorists are actually inside of us. Those negative fear thoughts that poison living our daily lives, that terrorize us daily with worry and fear and anxiety, making us frozen, literally, like a deer on the railroad tracks, stopping all forward progress. Tomorrow, I will talk more about current events in a spiritual light. God bless you.